Welcome to the abyss of crime, where the shadows whisper secrets and the truth is often stranger than fiction. From chilling unsolved crimes to controversial trials, we explore the darker side of humanity through meticulous investigation and compelling storytelling. Today, we delve into the tragic and mysterious case of Patrick Deera, a young man whose promising life was cut short in a brutal and meticulously planned murder. Join us as we unravel the intricate details of this case and uncover the sinister forces at play. Today, we delve deeper into the tragic and mysterious case of Patrick Deera, a 25-year-old man who was brutally murdered in his home in Deltona, Florida, in February 2018. The nature of his injuries suggested that the perpetrator had a personal grudge against him. Despite the murderer being named almost immediately, no direct evidence was found to prove his guilt. The Patrick Deera case is an example of an almost perfect, elaborate, and planned crime that may have gone unsolved. Patrick Deera was born in June 1992 in Miami, Florida, to Max Deera and Patricia Ronza. His father was a native of Spain, and his mother was born and raised in France before moving to the United States. The Deera family was very friendly and happy, and Patrick grew up in an atmosphere of love, care, and mutual respect. He was a kind, intelligent, and sociable guy who studied well in school and had many friends. Patrick was close to his parents, who ensured he received a good education and grew up to be a worthy man. Max Deera worked in the field of construction and was an excellent specialist. The family was not rich, but was considered well-to-do by the standards of the big city. After graduating from high school, Patrick decided to enter the construction faculty to continue his father's work. However, when he was studying at the university, his parents divorced after almost a quarter of a century together. They parted quietly and peacefully. Patricia moved to Deltona and soon remarried. Patrick decided to stay with his father in Miami, where they worked together and were respected professionals in the construction industry. Despite the divorce, all family members remained close and friendly. They were always in touch, calling and communicating regularly, and were ready to help when needed. Patrick regularly visited his mother in Deltona and told her about everything that was happening in his life. He also shared his joys and experiences, including meeting the girl of his dreams. Thanks to his French-Spanish roots, Patrick had a bright appearance and enjoyed great success with the fair sex. However, he dreamed of a strong, happy family of his own with the girl of his dreams rather than seeking fleeting affairs. Patrick met his dream girl, Jessica Devani, by chance on the internet on one of the popular sites where lonely hearts look for each other. He registered there and created an account on the advice of a friend, but did not fully believe that it was possible to meet his soulmate there. One June evening in 2017, he was flipping through the profiles of girls on the site when he was attracted by a photo of a searing brunette with a rather unusual bright appearance. She had big, bottomless eyes and a charming smile. Patrick was literally enchanted and decided to write to the beautiful stranger. Jessica responded to his message, and relaxed communication started between them. Jessica was born in 1988 in Orlando. After graduating from high school, she entered one of the local universities where she studied banking. After graduating, she got a job at a bank branch in her native Orlando. Jessica was also immediately attracted to the handsome young man, and for a few days they corresponded actively on the website. They then decided to exchange phone numbers, and for the next couple of weeks, they called each other every evening and talked for hours about everything. The couple quickly developed mutual sympathy and trust, and they decided to meet in real life. However, since they lived in different parts of the state, they chose a place about halfway to each other for the meeting. On the first date, Patrick realized that Jessica was the girl he had been looking for so long, and whom he now did not want to let go. She also liked him immediately, although she was a little confused by the age difference because she was 4 years older than Patrick. On the way home, Patrick called his mother and told her that he had met the girl of his dreams whom he wanted to marry and start a family with. Patricia heard the joy and excitement in her son's voice, realized that he was serious, and was happy for him. This long-distance relationship lasted several months and was a big problem because the couple could only see each other on weekends, somewhere neutral, usually renting a hotel room in some cozy, secluded place and just enjoying each other's company. However, on Sunday night, everyone flew back to their homes because they had to go to work on Monday morning. In December 2017, Patrick moved to Deltona, where his mother lived, to be closer to his sweetheart. He bought a house there in a quiet neighborhood and began to carry out some repair work, preparing a cozy nest for the move of his chosen one. However, Jessica could not yet leave work, and they planned a housewarming party for early spring the following year. On the eve of the new year, which the couple met together, the young man decided to make his girlfriend a surprise. He arranged fireworks in the backyard of the house, and while Jessica admired the fireworks, he got down on one knee and held out a box with a ring, asking her the most important question: would she become his lawful wife? Jessica was unspeakably happy and of course answered him in the affirmative. Patrick admitted that he had been looking for a ring suitable for the engagement for a long time, but had not found the perfect one in any of the jewelry stores. They all seemed to him not beautiful and refined enough for such an occasion. He chose the best of what was available to be able to make a proposal before the new year, but he ordered another one in the jewelry workshop, an exclusive ring, the design of which the young man came up with himself. 2 months had passed since the engagement, and preparations for the wedding and the upcoming housewarming were in full swing. The couple's choice was approved by their parents, and they themselves were unspeakably happy, preparing for a new stage of their lives. The young people planned to arrange a lavish celebration in Miami on the shores of the Atlantic Ocean or in France, where the groom's mother was from. Jessica Devani was born in 1988 in Orlando, Florida. After graduating with a degree in banking, she began working at a local bank branch. It was during her university years that she met Gregory Bender, a wealthy businessman 20 years her senior. Gregory, the owner of an investment fund, was charming and extravagant, quickly sweeping Jessica off her feet with expensive gifts, luxurious vacations, and grand gestures. At first, Jessica believed she had found her one true love, captivated by Gregory's charisma and financial prowess. However, as their relationship progressed, Gregory's behavior began to reveal darker aspects of his personality. He was extremely controlling, constantly monitoring Jessica's movements and dictating her social interactions. Whenever Jessica received attention from other men, Gregory reacted with jealousy and intimidation, ensuring they stayed away. Despite these troubling signs, Jessica stayed with Gregory, hoping his possessiveness would eventually subside. Their relationship lasted almost 8 years, during which Jessica became increasingly isolated. Gregory never introduced her to his family or friends, and their time together was dictated solely by his whims. Despite wearing an engagement ring given to her by Gregory, their life together remained stagnant, with no plans for marriage or a future family. The turning point came when Gregory was involved in a car accident and hospitalized. Jessica, rushing to his aid, decided to stop by his house first to collect some of his belongings. There, she encountered a woman who introduced herself as Dora Sanchez, Gregory's legal wife. This revelation shattered Jessica's world, exposing Gregory's deceit and leading her to finally break off their relationship. Determined to move on, Jessica registered on a dating site, where she soon met Patrick Deera. Unlike her previous relationship, her connection with Patrick was genuine and filled with mutual respect and love. However, Gregory did not take the breakup lightly. He began stalking Jessica, bombarding her with calls and messages, pleading for her return and promising to divorce Dora. When persuasion failed, he resorted to threats, attempting to scare Jessica into submission. Jessica and Patrick, fearing for their safety, reported Gregory's harassment to the police, who issued a restraining order against him and required him to surrender his firearms. For a while, it seemed the situation had calmed down, but Jessica remained vigilant, convincing Patrick to install CCTV cameras around their home. On February 27, 2018, Max Deera, Patrick's father, received a call from a courier. The father's number was listed as an additional contact. The courier reported that his son's order was delivered to the specified address, but the customer did not open the door and did not answer the phone. This was very unlike Patrick, so the father immediately got worried. However, since he was at work and could not go to pick up the order and at the same time check if everything was all right with his son, Max decided to ask his future daughter-in-law. He called Jessica, and with anxiety in his voice, he said that he could not reach his son. Jessica herself had been trying to contact her fiancé since the morning, but he did not answer messages and calls. When she mentioned this to Patrick's father, Max said something must have happened to Patrick. Jessica immediately dropped everything she was doing and headed to the groom's house as fast as she could. When she pulled up, she immediately saw Patrick's car in the driveway, which indicated that he had not gone anywhere. Since she had her own key, Jessica entered the yard and called out loudly to her lover several times, but there was no response. She carefully opened the front door and saw a horrifying picture. Her fiancé was lying practically at the entrance in a pool of his own blood, and he showed no signs of life. Jessica immediately rushed to call the emergency services, but the paramedics who arrived on the scene were unable to help Patrick and only declared him dead. By the time the police arrived, a distraught Jessica was sobbing in the backyard of the house where Patrick had proposed just 2 months earlier. When one of the officers approached her, she only looked at him and said that she knew who had massacred her lover and ruined her entire life: a rich and powerful ex-boyfriend. Although the investigation had little doubt that Gregory was behind it all, it seemed at the time that he could get away with it. The police decided to go on the sly and ask Jessica to call her former lover and bring him to a frank conversation. Jessica agreed without hesitation, dialed Bender's number, and made a spectacle of herself. She blamed him for what had happened, cried, and kept asking why he had done it. However, Gregory seemed to have figured out what the investigators were up to from the start, and persisted in pretending that he did not understand. When Jessica said that he killed her fiancé, the businessman pretended to be surprised by this news and, after expressing his condolences to the ex-girlfriend, hung up. To get Gregory to confess, make him mad, or force him to commit a blunder, the police had no reason to detain or question the man. He could only be called to testify, but he honored the restraining order and seemed to have let the ex-girlfriend go long ago. While the investigation was treading water trying to find any clues, the police received a call from Dora Sanchez Bender, who said that she had important information about the Patrick Deera case. The woman was immediately invited to the station for an interview where she said that shortly before the crime, she saw a strange notebook in her husband's office. Looking into it, Dora found a detailed plan of some stranger's house, and next to it, there was a strange algorithm of actions. She had not paid any attention to it at the time. But when Dora saw a news report about the brutal murder of a young man and the story showed the plan of his house, she immediately remembered the sketches of her unfaithful husband, with whom she was on the verge of divorce, and decided to tell the investigators. This information gave the police enough reason to search the house of the alleged perpetrator. The mysterious notebook about which the wife of the businessman spoke was found in the office. However, the pages with the plan of the house and other records were removed. They were soon found in the office, but in a trash can that Gregory had apparently failed or forgotten to empty. He had simply ripped out the pages, crumpled them up, and tossed them in the trash, apparently confident that his house would not be searched, since there was no evidence against him. On the sheets of paper, in addition to the layout of the house, there was a detailed plan of the crime itself. It became clear that the criminal had prepared for a long time and thoroughly, working out every point. In particular, it was said about the need to turn off the phone, use gloves, and lubricate the soles of shoes with a special compound so that it did not leave traces on the floor. From the records, it became clear that Gregory followed his victim, knew what time Patrick returned home, and was aware of the presence of surveillance cameras in the house and yard. In addition, Gregory made sure to dispose of the crime weapon, dirty clothes, shoes, and gloves. He was only let down by the fact that his own records had not been destroyed in time and his wife's curiosity. In addition, a fourth missing shell casing was found on the table in a cigar box, which the gunman was supposed to have carried off as a trophy. Forensics confirmed that it was the exact same shell casing from the crime scene. The evidence was enough to arrest Gregory and initiate a trial. However, the main problem was that all the evidence found could be called circumstantial. The crime weapon was never found. There was no evidence that the accused had ever been to the victim's house, and there were no witnesses. Bender's trial did not begin until May 2021, more than 3 years after his atrocity. During this time, he hired the best lawyers who had time to thoroughly prepare for the case. The businessman was optimistic and seemed to believe that he would get away with it. Jessica was a key witness. She detailed her relationship with Gregory over many years, how she learned he was married, and tried to break up with him, as well as the harassment and threats he made against her and Patrick. As evidence, she provided saved screenshots of the correspondence and phone records. In response, Bender's attorneys attempted to shift all the blame onto Jessica. The defense stated that Jessica herself provoked Gregory with her behavior because she registered on a dating site and started a new relationship, not yet broken up with Gregory, which hurt his pride and ego. Jessica was also accused of mercantilism, noting that she liked to receive expensive gifts from a rich suitor. The main evidence, sheets with records of the murder plan, the lawyers called only a fantasy of a wounded man who wanted to take revenge on his rival. At the same time, the defense insisted that the defendant did not go further than plans and fantasies. Therefore, his traces at the scene of the crime were not found. In addition, according to the lawyers, the search in the house of their client was illegal and was conducted with violations. Therefore, the second evidence, a shell casing, he could simply plant it in the process. The crime weapon was also not found, and the model of the gun Jessica identified from a picture, saying that she had previously seen it in the collection of her boyfriend. But she could be wrong because she was not well versed in weapons. At one of the sessions, the defendant's now ex-wife, Dora Sanchez, was called as a witness. The man who had hitherto looked indifferent suddenly became animated and unexpectedly confessed his love for her. The ex-wife was moved by this confession and apparently changed her mind about testifying against Gregory. She confused her testimony, citing her forgetfulness, and finally added that she had lived with the man for many years and doubted that he was capable of murder. Despite attempts by defense attorneys to challenge the legality of the search of the defendant's home, despite his ex-wife's unexpected statement, and despite the lack of direct evidence, the jury, after hours of deliberation, still found Gregory Bender guilty of first-degree murder. He was sentenced to life imprisonment, barring him from ever being eligible for parole. As the judge read out the sentence, the defendant stared at Jessica intently, seemingly without even blinking. He was literally glaring at her, which made her feel sick and almost had a panic attack. She sat next to her late fiancé's mother and at one point began sobbing and literally choking. Despite numerous attempts by Bender and his highly paid lawyers to appeal the verdict and get the case reviewed, all of their appeals were rejected. The least role in this was played by a wide resonance of the case in society because a wealthy millionaire businessman in cold blood massacred a simple working man and tried to get away with it. The story of Patrick Deera was widely covered in the press. With Gregory Bender still behind bars at the moment, Jessica Devani says she feels safe and continues to live for Patrick and keep his memory alive. She wears the ring he gave her as a gift, as well as that exclusive piece of jewelry Patrick never got around to giving her. Jessica maintains a close relationship with her deceased fiancé's parents, who treat her like their own daughter. And what do you think motivated Gregory Bender to go to such extreme lengths to control Jessica's life, even after their relationship ended? Let us know your thoughts in the comments section below. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the shadows of the abyss of crime. As we conclude our exploration of the Patrick Deera case, we hope it has illuminated the deeper issues that lurk beneath the surface of society. If this series has captured your interest, Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more deep dives into the darkest corners of criminal investigations. Please click the bell icon to ensure you don't miss any updates. Your engagement helps us bring these important stories to light. Until next time, stay vigilant and keep seeking the truth. Goodbye for now.